Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching the world. Sean Driver, the Red Horde, the Who Are You series, and this one is packed. Sometimes there are just some clubs that you have a lot to talk about, and for whatever reason, Barnsley is one of them. So lots on the research, lots digging in. What do we do? Started as a project, just doing some research, trying to figure out, well, who's Wrexham playing? What do we know about them? What do we need to know about them? Thought, hey, I'll throw it up on YouTube, and all of a sudden we're doing a whole bunch of stuff. The watch-alongs, the watch parties. If you haven't joined us, do that. 57 different countries so far. Join us for that. We've got a burgeoning community that you can come and check us in on Tuesday for the game. And then we do, when I have time, the hors d'oeuvres, where we end up talking about things that happen off the pitch and how they affect things that happen on the pitch. Excuse me. And you can do that. I try and do this all in one take. I will try to leave the editing out. And so you're going to catch some clicking around. You're going to hear some ramblings. The camera's acting a little funky today. It is what it is. Let's jump into it. Barnsley FC, South Yorkshire. Who are you? Yeah, Sean Driver. So like, comment, subscribe, get into it. If you're from Barnsley, feel free to give me your 2 cents, whether I hit the nail on the head or whether I missed it completely. That's what we're here to figure out, is just exactly who Barnsley is. A lot of history, a lot of intrigue with the players. Stay tuned. So here we go with the overall general stats of Barnsley FC. It does say nicknames, the Reds and the Tykes. There's another one, Colliers, but that sort of ran out of time, I think, in the 60s or 70s. In fact, there's been a lot of threads talking about when were we ever the Colliers. So not really a popular term. Tykes, an interesting one. Reds just because of the colors. Tykes, an interesting one to me. A South Yorkshire. And for those that don't know why I'm throwing on the fake bad sort of South Yorkshire accent, my wife from Doncaster, so that's why I'm familiar with Barnsley. Driven through, never stayed, but yeah, I know where you are. The Tykes is a South Yorkshire term, sort of like as we use in North America with kids, but it's sort of a term of endearment in South Yorkshire. Mischievous but well settled. Is that sort of how it kind of reads to me? Kid-like, troublesome. But it fits with the salt of the earth sort of mentality of those South Yorkshiremen and lasses. And so, yeah, anyway, Barnsley, 71,422 people. That makes it the 20th largest in League One. Last match with them way back, April 5th, 2005, down in League One. Last season, they made the playoffs, finished 6th. No love for them. Their turnover, not as strong as I thought it was. And I say that because as we go through the history, you'll find out that they've had a long history in the Championship, a little glimpse into the Premier League, but at 9.5 million a year is turnover, not exactly where you'd want to be, and then 5.9% is a loss. That's a kick in the teeth, as far as I'm concerned. I thought Barnsley would be doing a little bit better than that on the numbers, but given the history of the stadium, given the history of the club, given the success of the club, but not quite there. Social media, another one that surprised me, 418,777 across all 5 major social media streams: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, I'm missing one, Twitter. And so those are the 5. To put that into reference, that's 3.2 million less than Wrexham. I get it, followership versus fans, plastic and not, but not really striking a chord with the international community, I would suggest. Oakwell Stadium, she's an old girl. 1888, the opening year. I thought it was 1887. My graphic could be wrong on my research. We'll see, but it's not that far away. The 8th closest to Wrexham. Obviously, they're coming to the Cae Ras for this one. The away allocation, according to Football Reference and Football Away Fans, a maximum of 5,000. That's sort of atypical. They do that in certain circumstances. We'll see what happens when we go away there. The capacity, she's large, 23,287. That makes it the 7th largest in the league, but only stacking at 54% last year. That makes it the 6th biggest. I'm going to get into the details about the West Stand. She's glorious. And so just stick around for that. As far as the pitch dimensions, smack dab in the middle, 110 by 75 yards. There's a wide divergence in the EFL, and when you average them all out, this is basically where you sit, 8,250. Going to jump into the stats here in a second. There you go. That is the stats, as you can see, for the run up into this one. They've kind of hit a bit of a rough patch recently, but they were on a roll, and they've been looking good as far as comparison to the last. This was our third tough set of games. We had Exeter City, we had Lincoln, we have Barnsley. All teams up sniffing around that playoff spot, hoping for something better. Barnsley statistically much better than Exeter and slightly better than Lincoln City. We'll jump into that. Goals for, well, you can see right off the top, we're sitting 25 goals, 5th overall. They're 24 goals, tied for 6th. Goals against, 11 for us. That's 1st overall in the league. For them, 20th. So there's the difference. They score a lot, but they kind of let up. Well, it's not too bad. Tied for 13th, middle of the table. But they do allow a lot more goals than us. We're home and away. They're one of the better teams. While they're tied for 2nd overall in points, they're better away than they are at home so far this year. 5 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. But running into a buzzsaw as far as the Cae Ras, the racecourse roar, a legitimate thing again, another year. Long may that continue. But for us, 20 goals for at home. That's 2nd overall for all teams at home. Only 4 goals against. That's the best in League One at home. For them, they're 12 goals away. That's 6th overall, and they're 9 goals against. That's tied for 7th. So just give you a quick update here as to the overall stats. What I want to draw your attention to is really there's a lot of similarities here. There are a lot of things that fall into let's just go through it. Shots on target per 90, they're ahead of us, and so that's significant. That's offset by the save percentage. We're at 85.5%. They're at 64.5%. So they get a lot more shots on goal, but they also allow more because their goalkeeper, and we'll get into that, a little bit weaker. As to efficiency, 39% of the shots that we take on goal, that's a little bit of a step down. We were as high as 41. For them, 29%. That puts them right smack dab in the middle of the table. Shots on target against, pretty damn close, 4.12 to 3.71. Not much separating things. Possession, not much separating things again, 44% to 49.9%, as we've been climbing in that regard all the way through. You look at the accurate passes, 15th and 16th. Are you finding a pattern? There's outside of the goalkeeping and outside of the shots on target, there's a lot of similarities here. Accurate crosses, 5.8, we're 2nd. 5.2, they're 6th. It's close. Accurate long balls, 3rd for us, 2nd for them. They're playing some hoofball. More than us. And then you've got the FOTMOB X goals. They're ranked a little bit higher than us, which largely comes because there's 2 stats that I don't take care of in this statistic that I looked at that I went, okay, that's intriguing. 413 touches in the box. That's 1st overall in League One. Lots of touches in the box, 100, and that leads to 127 corners, which is also 1st, which makes sense. They're getting a lot of play in close. I imagine Burton's going to be busy. His positional play probably going to be a good thing here. Rather than Ogonko, who's a shot blocker, we've got a guy who is positionally in the right place and goes and finds the ball. Probably the right goalkeeper, and even if Ogonko was healthy, this is one where you'd probably suggest you'd want to have Burton in on it, potentially. For us, just as a comparison, when it comes to touches in box, we're 18th overall in the league. That's at 312. When it comes to corners, we're at 65. So they are doubling us for corners overall this season. So what can you expect? They're happy kicking the ball deep. They're happy taking scrambles in the middle of the box. And the thing is, for them, they aren't as efficient as we are on one end, and they let a lot more goals in on the back end. As to the referee that's coming into this one, Benjamin Speedy, an experienced one. He's had 7 games in League One and not a lot of goals. Looking at the stats, pretty intriguing. We did see him Bradford City last year in the loss at home, and he made his EFL debut back October 7 of 2020. As to his stats, look at the fouls. He's above the average there, just sitting at 17th, but he doesn't like the cards. Maybe a good thing. 55 referees to date in League One. He's 50th overall in giving yellow cards. As far as the red cards, he's given out none. So he's tied for 18th, and his pens he's given out 1, which puts him 24th, which is pretty close to the middle of the table. So not a guy who gives out the cards, but he does blow the whistle down for a lot of fouls. So I don't think the flopping maybe going to work, but you're going to get away with some stuff. So I expect it to be a little bit physical. Jumping into the pictures, and this is where it's going to get a little heavy, and I'm going to go rapid fire. There's the drive out straight across, sort of up through Manchester, you got to go through Stockport, I guess, and on your way to Barnsley. There is the Oakwell Stadium. She's a glorious old girl. That's one of those stadiums that you look at and I wish I could go there. I'm going to have to look at the away day and see if that's one I can get away from, because obviously Barnsley not that far from Doncaster. I would be able to connect to that. Their kit, oh boy, let's talk history. And I'm on this page. This is what it looks like right now. And you've got the seven stars of 7 6-pointed stars that are there. We won't see that one. It's got some history, this jersey, but this one, the white rose, for those of you in North America who don't know, the War of the Roses, Lancaster, House of York, back, 1485, had the war down south somewhere near Birmingham in this small little place, and the king died, and Yorkshire lost the War of the Roses, but they're still very proud. And the whole white rose thing is legitimate. Obviously, the Yorkshire rose, it's on their symbols. The House of York, it's a thing. So that's the one we're going to look at. I actually like the away kit a lot. That home kit, though, better than it was last year. I'm just going to scroll down so you can see this. Look at that ugly thing. Puma did you dirty last season. That's all I've got to say. I don't get the pointed star thing, but apparently what it is it's a homage to the 1989-1990 Beaver International jerseys. I don't know. That's Canadian. It's got some affinity with me. I don't know. Well, I don't know if Beaver International is, but whenever you're talking Beaver is a club, that's got to be Canada, right? They made the kit, and they started with this star thing, and it's kind of one of those things. It's like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's got like a cult following, and so they decided to redo the jerseys, and they're back. There's the league performance so far. 78 seasons in the second tier. One of the founding teams, 1898. 10 seasons in the fourth tier. They've got 26 in the third tier, and one season in the Premier League where they ended up going 10 wins, 5 draws, 23 losses. That puts them at 35 points. So out of the 51 teams that have been in the Prem, they currently sit 49th overall with their one little season where they won in 96-97. They made it up for 1 year. They obviously, with 10 wins, 5 draws, 23 losses, they didn't stay. That was their blip in the top of the table, the top of the league, and then they went down. They do have an FA Cup from way back, 1911, 1912. And they've got an EFL trophy that came in 2015, 2016. You know, that trophy that nobody cares about until they actually have one. Congratulations, you guys have one. Take a look at the stands. So, this is a gaffer, Daryl Clark. Six team that he's coached here. He's been here for the start of the season. He was from Cheltenham Town, where he was, interestingly enough, part of the demotion. They had gone 9 games winless. They ended up bringing him on. He won 1 game in October and was named October League One Manager of the Month for managing to get Cheltenham a win. They lost. He brought them into some level of success. They did climb their way out of the basement, but only to the last relegation spot, losing on the final day to Stevenage, and that's why Cheltenham is down in League Two. And he didn't stick around, got another club. Those chairs are from the West Stand, and there's not enough pictures of these. I tried to look around and find some of them. It was shut down for a couple of months back in 2021, I believe. But those are, that's just sexy. That's football. I know that that's probably not the away stands, but I want to lie once and just go and sit in those seats and enjoy a game. So maybe I'll do that if Wrexham's not playing. But I'm a fan of those, and I don't think they feature that enough. Interestingly, I want to talk about the owners, and how do I get into the owners here? There's a whole international consortium. It's led by a Hong Kong group and an Indian group, but there's also a North American group, and one of the minority owners, a little bit of Hollywood, Billy Beane. And if you haven't watched Moneyball, the Oakland Athletics, economics, the whole business of baseball changed when he started his thing. Brad Pitt starred in a movie all about him. So he's a minority owner on this one, and I find that to be some fascinating stuff. I want to get into the owners, or into the players here, and usually I feature 2 or 3 players maybe as many as 4. I'm going to run through a gauntlet here, and I'm going to be looking down at some notes and scrambling around to try and get into some of these details. And some of it's just a little bit rough because they have a lot of interesting side stories. Let's start here. This is Gabriel Slonina from Addison, Illinois in the U.S. He is probably in line to be the U.S.'s future national team goalkeeper. He's 20 years of age. He's had a 1 cap. He played in Serbia. He had an opportunity to get his cap with Poland and be cap strapped to play with them, and he turned them down to go and play for the United States. That was a 2-1 loss, and he's injured. And so we're kind of being robbed, especially for the Americans. I mean, being a Canadian, I don't care. Long may you suffer. No, that's not nice. That's not nice. I don't like injury being the problem. But he's ranked in the top 50 and that's not just goalkeepers, that's all young players in football worldwide. He's in the mix, and he was there for a year, not having the best of seasons, 66.7% save percentage, but his replacement doing much worse. So let's get to that. Ben Killip, 57.1%. Who's kicking the ball at me? That's not the look you want from a keeper. He looks scared out of his tree. Anyway, poor Ben Killip. You got called in. Anyway, Slonina out with a finger injury, happened in early November, out for 6 weeks. Expect him to be back in a couple of weeks, I believe. So we're going to get Ben Killip. Yay. Watch him not be scared and have himself a hell of a game. But if we're looking to improve our efficiency, having a guy who only stops the ball just slightly better than 50% of the time is a wonderful place to be. Look, there was an article I read that said that their manager, Daryl Clark, likes big bodies, and especially on his back line. That he does, and let's just run through them. Maël de Gevigny, French. This is his 2nd season over. He came over obviously 2 years ago. 6'1". He's the tiniest one in the back, and their back line, by the way, the 3 of these guys that I'm going to go through, they've played like all the minutes, other than a suspension that just happened. It was Mark Roberts, I believe, off the top of my head, that was suspended with just recently with his yellow card accumulation. But as to the rest of them, they're all there, they're all in place. And here's the next guy, that is Mark Roberts, 6'4". 6'1". He played for Birmingham last year, and so he's on the back line, and he's joined by Josh Earl. Fleetwood Town signed with them January window of the last season, 6'4". And then they've got another intrigue, especially for those of you in North America, Donovan Pines. Interesting for me, and I'm hoping I get to see him, because back when people were saying, well, who are some MLS players that potentially could make their way over? He was with DC United at the time. This is January window of last year. And he was a free agent and looking for a place to play, and he came over. He had a bad sort of, because he was injured, had a bad start to the campaign with Barnsley. He's had 7 matches played and hasn't really fit in, largely because those other 3 have been doing so well, but he's got a goal, and I'm curious to see how he's in the mix here as far as League One goes. And then a couple of familiar names up front. You've got Davis Killer-Dunn from Mansfield last season, obviously well known, well remembered. We know who he is. He's scored a lot of goals. He's been a weapon, and I expect him to build through the middle. It's interesting that they're doing the hoofball thing, because I remember him being sort of like a Louis Barry light as far as his ability to dribble and his ability to beat people with the ball through the middle of the pitch. So we'll see how he fits into the new system and how he plays as he's getting a lot of minutes with him. And then the other one, obviously, Stephen Humphreys, who was rumored last window to end up coming over to Wrexham. He didn't. He's come out with an article recently. There's actually a couple of them out there on the internet talking about Wrexham and that opportunity. He was with Wigan at the time. He said, I was comfortable with the coach. I wanted to continue. It was no disrespect to Wrexham. And then the summertime came, and when that window opened, Wrexham wasn't really that interested. They were moving on to other things, and so didn't end up coming. Holy, lots to talk about, as I said, and I probably rushed that thing a little bit too quick. And I made a mistake. I wanted to get this out, and so this is a little bit late. I'm blasting it through, but I got it in time. I appreciate the comments. If you have the chance, hit the subscribe button. The algorithm needing a little boost right now, because I've been away from doing this thing for a while because of work and moving and all that sort of stuff. And so a little bit of a boost with the like down there. Comments are great. And I'm a fan of the. I received a comment, and I should know the name, and I'm going to have to put it out there. But said on the last one, I'm just about to head off to the Cae Ras. I need to make my trip over to Canada to be able to get an update on who we're playing today. And I think that's amazing. So for everybody who's, whether you're attending in person, whether you're going to attend us for the watch party, however you're going to take in this match, I follow by yourself, and you're just getting this, or you're going over to another watch party somewhere else. I.e., I'll push the push out there. Local pundit doing their thing as well. You know what? Follow the club, follow the team, fall in love with Wrexham. Trying to get all of those followerships, 3.6 million of us who are following the club, to start connecting a little bit. iFollow's the way to watch it. If you're in the US, Paramount Plus, do all that sort of stuff. Find your way of enjoying Wrexham. And that's it. That's all. We'll see you Tuesday at the watch party. We usually kick that off on a Tuesday, just like 30 minutes beforehand. So sign in for that one. Got more stuff cooking in the background, and we'll fly at it. And potentially, a couple of surprises that Brendan, the producer, has been cooking up. We had the members, a couple of them join, and we tested them. I think they went fairly well, and so we'll get a taste. We'll get a taste of some changes. Exciting. Like button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you Tuesday. Have a good one. Bye.